I welcome you to the first module of this course entitled Foundation of Security. In this course, we are to cover some terms in relation to security, cybersecurity. We look into security incidents, why security is essential. We look into some potential losses due to security attacks, elements of security, fundamental concepts of security, layers of security, security risks to home user, what needs to be secured, and how can a home computer be vulnerable, and how can we make our system secure, okay? And look into some benefits of computer security awareness and computer security mechanism. So now we proceed to other terms, exploit. An exploit is an attack in a computer system, especially one that takes advantage of a particular vulnerability the system offers to intruders. Okay, the keyword here is taking advantage, just like you. There are those who are feeling guapo, feeling handsome, and what they do is they take advantage to uh, those, say, classmates that they like them. No, so they are exploiting the person. So same thing here in cybersecurity. There are instances that there are exploits. Uh, you know what? As we go along, we'll look into some framework that is in relation to exploit. These exploit frameworks are usually used by hackers, and there's one session we'll have wherein we are to look into this. Uh, Cracker, hackers, or intruders are unauthorized users who breaks into computer system in order to steal, change, or destroy information, often by installing dangerous malware without the knowledge or consent of the legitimate users. And then the last type of an attack is data theft. This is an action of stealing information from a user's system. So next slide, why security is important. Malicious programs such as viruses, worms, spyware infect 90% of the computers that are connected to the internet. And we do know that these malicious programs degrade the performance of the system, and in effect, it poses a security threat. It may cause a critical damage or data loss in our computer or to the user. This most of these threats occurs with home computers. The reason why they are not secure and they are easier to break into than any large or enterprise organization. This is why cyber criminals are always look out for confidential information stored on our computer. Okay, especially nowadays that most of users are at home. So those are our home computers, and we do all our transactions in our home. Okay, so this is one reason why security is very critical at this point in our time. Okay, so I have here another data that worldwide spending on cybersecurity is forecasted to reach an outstanding $133 billion in 2022. And I think with the pandemic we are experiencing right now, I think this will uh, increase more. Next are potential losses due to security attacks. Some terms, again, we need to deal with. Financial loss. An organization may stand to lose huge amounts of money if the system are stalled because of an attack. Also, security attacks may result in the loss of trade secrets or other sensitive data worth millions of dollars. Uh, Next, we have this type of attack known as denial of service. Okay, so an attacker, its intention is to make a system sluggish, okay, or make it slow. Uh, so that these are under unavailable resources. Okay, one element of security is availability. So an attacker wanted to may plan to compromise this availability. Okay, maybe because of competition. So that's why unavailable resources is one of a potential loss due to security attacks. And then last is identity theft. I remember there's that one time in the news where there's this IT student who stole uh, series or accessed series of RCBC accounts online. We even have one professor who were a victim of that. So that is an example of an identity theft. And the guy was caught by NBI. Other potential losses due to security attacks is loss of trust. I remember there's that one website, if I'm not mistaken, is Ashley Madison, where it is being hacked and accounts of users are being exposed. So uh, there is a compromise for the trust in the website, and then from then on, the website went down. Okay, the integrity of the website is compromised, and no one used that website anymore. So that's one good example of a loss of trust. Aside from potential losses are data loss and misuse of computer resources. Okay, during our live sessions, we'll have an interactive discussion on these different potential losses. We'll have some case studies in relation to these potential losses. I have here some cybersecurity statistics um, I found in the net. Uh, so like 62% of businesses experience phishing and social engineering attacks in 2018. 68% of business leaders feel that their risks are increasing. 5% of companies' folders are properly protected. Imagine that, only 5%. Data breaches exposed 4 billion records in the first half of 2019. And then 71% breaches was financially motivated. 25% were motivated by espionage. Okay, and then Uber was even hacked. Uh, in 2016, Uber reported that hackers stole the information of over 57 million riders and drivers. Okay, and Uber even need to pay off hackers to delete the stolen data of 57 million users and keep the breach quiet. Um, so this is I have inserted those statistics to prove that indeed cybersecurity knowledge and skills are, especially at this point in time, are very important. When we talk about cybersecurity, very important that we are well aware of the CIA Triad. It is a model developed, and it said that in security, cybersecurity, or even in information security, these three elements needs um, to be present, to be addressed. That is that in security, confidentiality, integrity, and availability needs to be ensured. When we say again confidentiality, it refers to ensuring that the data is unreadable during transmission. It prevents revealing of the information, uh, and then uh, integrity. When we talk about integrity, it deals of the fact that the data during transmission is not altered, that the information should be accurate. And the last one is availability. This ensures that information is accessible to authorized person when required without delay, that there is a protection from denial of service, that it ensures high availability. Okay. Uh, Aside from this SIA triad, the confidentiality, integrity, and availability, also very important to ensure uh, authenticity. In authenticity, the identification and assurance of the origin of information is present, and non-repudiation. Non-repudiation is the assurance for which someone cannot deny something. It is the ability to ensure that the communication cannot deny the authenticity of someone's signature on the document or prevent a message that he or she originated from being sent. Okay. There are different mechanisms to ensure confidentiality, integrity, availability, authenticity, and non-repudiation. As we go along, we will define and identify processes involved in these mechanisms uh, developed to address issues in these different elements of security. So in this slide, it explains the relationship of the security, functionality, and the ease of use triangle. Okay. This diagram explains that, say, in a given system, if we are to strengthen a security, if we increase the security measures or restrictions, the functionality, performance of a given system is compromised, so as with the ease of use. Okay. One good example is like what we are experiencing right now. We need to tighten our security with the COVID pandemic. That's why we need to stay at home. We need to impose lockdown and quarantine. But we do know we've been in lockdown for 2 months. There's one component being compromised, and that is our economy. No, so that's why the economy is like the functionality or performance of the system of our country. So very important to balance these components. So just like in the news, they follow certain model, okay, to balance the security, the health security in reference to the virus, and so as at the same time the economy is not being that too much compromised. So same thing here. There are frameworks being developed to balance the security and to ensure that the functionality or performance of a system is not compromised. So other concept of security we need to be well aware of, precaution. When we say precaution, these are an action taken in advance to protect the system against potential threats or danger. Very important to take precautionary measures. Example, basic ones, say, okay, precautionary measure, if you buy a computer, a laptop, you need to install, before using them or connect to the internet, install an antivirus software. Next is maintenance. Maintenance is the action that supplements the precautionary measure. For example, okay, you already have installed an antivirus program. Maintenance is to ensure that your software is updated. Okay, there. Or impose a strong password and you change this password periodically. Another is reaction. Reaction is uh, reaction is a security incident, uh, such as network intrusion, may still cause equipment failure. Under such circumstance, reaction speed to alleviate the damage is vital. Uh, Reaction is like, okay, um, you have to prepare a guidelines in times of disaster. Okay, uh, this is to ensure that you minimize or reduce your risks or your loss. Okay, that's very important. Okay, so um, we will deal with different um, means of imposing precautionary maintenance and reaction measures during our live sessions. Next, layers of security. We have authentication. Again, in authentication, this is to ensure that only authorized users are the one that has access to the system. So there are different means. We are to deal with that. Like the popular ones is to provide username and password. These are not the only way to authenticate a system. We look into that. There are different concept behind it. Okay, next is authorization. So once a user has already access to the system, what we do is we impose access control. We define what are those parts in the system that are only accessible by these users. So we have this concept of access control in Security Plus. We will discuss that. We will discuss these different types of access controls. And then, very important also is to secure our application software. So, we may define procedural methods to protect applications from external threats. The source of vulnerabilities in an application is in the presence of bugs or design flaws. And there are means for us to address these bugs and design flaws. As we move along, we will discuss that. In a home computer, some of its vulnerabilities include there is a low level of security awareness. Users are not aware how to secure their computer. They don't change the default setting. Another is, especially nowadays, that there is an increase in online activities and we are not well aware of the different types of threats or attacks that occurs when we connect in the internet. Um, there's a little investment to security system. and we do not follow any, or maybe we're not, a user is not well aware of standard security policies or guidelines uh, that were set for a home computer system. Uh, So how do we make a system secure? We can define access control. We have to set up authorization. We will deal with that in this course. There should be a system security administration. We may perform offline actions such as clearly defining system administrator responsibilities, training and monitoring of users regarding security policies, and so on. In the next chapter, we are to deal with this access control and security administration for our home computers. We can define data access control. In data access control, we define rules. And in these rules, we set who are the ones that only has access to our data, to our files. Okay, we can define some a series of permissions, read write, execute permissions, and last is um, we need to set ensures that our system has the security characteristics, especially in our hardware, software. We may implement memory segmentation, privilege, isolation, and so on. As we move along, have we will have discussions and even laboratory activities which in relation to these security characteristics. So this ends the first part of the chapter 1. I hope to see you on the next video. Keep safe, and together we learn as one. Thank you.